engineer. When I created this presentation, I realized while creating it that there's one common attribute that connects everyone here in this room. And throughout this presentation, I have a feeling over time it'll click to some people. Oh yes, that is a similarity I have with the person sitting next to me, with the person behind me, with everyone here. And I'm going to tell the stories of 5 engineers. One of them is myself, and the other 4, Gaurav, Deepak, Victor, Siva, are engineers in Techcode, the incubator I work at. And to start off my journey, going back to high school, you can tell which one is me in the picture. I had a pole vault coach, that was my one sport that I did then, that worked at the Lawrence Livermore lab. And every practice he would tell us about the amazing devices, machines that they had just bought. And the way he would describe it was, we just got this one thing, I can't tell you about it, it's top secret, but it's amazing. That was every week, oh, we did this great thing, but I can't tell you, but it's amazing. And this stuck in my head. And so when I went to college, my first year and a half, I was undeclared. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I took bio classes, econ classes, ethnic studies. I even took a couple theater classes. I got a minor in theater. But a year and a half in, I knew I had to make a decision. And the thought of all those pole vault classes and all these cool things I didn't know about kept kind of itching at me. I kept thinking, well, you know, these classes, the math classes are challenging. I'm kind of curious what my pole vault coach had talked about that whole time. So I decided to become a mechanical engineer, but one of the problems was my 4th year, I was in the machine shop, and I was having the time of my life designing some parts, and my professor came over and said, hey Shawn, don't get too happy here. Once you leave here, once you go into the real world, you're never going to be in the machine shop. And I couldn't understand. I was like, what are you talking about? This is what I want to do. I just want to build stuff with my hands. He goes, no, everything is outsourced. Everything goes overseas. And we were in San Diego, UCSD at the time, so he said, it all goes down to Mexico. So, you can tell, yeah. And I was devastated, but at that time, it was too late to switch majors. I decided, you know, I'll finish mechanical engineering, but I was curious what else was out there. In college, a lot of my friends studied abroad. I didn't have that option because of studying engineering. It's difficult. You have to focus on your studies. And I decided, well, I want to go abroad, and I had the opportunity. I had a friend in the Peace Corps. She was in Costa Rica, and the interesting thing about her situation was she was living with her girlfriend in Costa Rica. And Costa Rica is a very conservative country, very Catholic. And they were in the coffee farms, Santa Maria de Dota, that area. So a woman couldn't have the same-sex partner. So they told everyone they were cousins. So that was a great reason why they lived together, because they were cousins from America. But no one understood why they wouldn't have a boyfriend. So they said, Shawn, why don't you just come down to Costa Rica? You'll have a job, you'll have a place. I've already told everyone you're dating me. Like, what? So I went down to Costa Rica on arrival. I didn't speak Spanish. I basically knew how to say sí to everyone, yes. So for the first 4 months, everyone came up to me, and I didn't know what they were saying, but they were saying, hey, are you dating this girl? Sí. Are you dating that girl? Sí. But they're cousins. Sí. And by not knowing Spanish, I had the greatest reputation ever of this one gringo from America dating these 2 girls, staying there late at night, because I was actually practicing Spanish, but everyone was like, wow, you were there really late last night. Sí. But after that, I was there in Costa Rica for about 2 years. I started my own little company there. I learned the language, learned how to salsa dance, had a great time. But I had this problem. I kept thinking, well, could I do this again in some place a little bit more different cultural, different than the US? And so I decided to go to China. So I went to China in 2008, right before the Olympics. 因为我喜欢学习中国文化，我喜欢做所有的东西在中国，我喜欢中国通文。I wanted to understand what everyone was talking about in the news about how China was taking over all the progress, and it was before the Olympics, so perfect timing. So here's me. You can tell, you know, a little bit younger there. I have the cool hair. I actually used to always complain about my curly hair, but then thanks, you know, to genetics, that problem was solved. And I started a couple companies there. The first two failed. I was still learning language, still learning the culture. Then finally, I partnered with one of my first Chinese professors, and we started a language training center. And what was very interesting at that time in China was everyone, and I believe still true today, they all want foreign teachers. But at least then, the universities, they couldn't provide work visas. So they needed to go to a third party. So they would come to us, and we had all the connections to, you know, this business would help us get a work permit for this person, and this business would help us get this, and you know, we'd get a stamp here and a stamp there, and things worked out. And and the last company did pretty successful. We had 2 offices, 14 employees. We had teachers going to 3 different provinces. For the summer and winter camps for Xindongfang, Harjie, we supplied a lot of teachers for their classes. But then there was an instance in my family, 2013, and I had to go back to the U.S. and help my mom out. So my partner bought me out, went back to the U.S. And in my mind, I was thinking, okay, yo puedo hablar español, 我会说中文, 我学习机器工程师, you know, I should be set. I should be able to find a job anywhere. And I sent out my resume, and I got no responses. And the thing was, I was asking people, I was like, what's going on here? My resume should be pretty good. I started a company in China, it succeeded. How many Americans can say that? I mean, really, Google failed, all these companies failed. I did good. And people were telling me, well, you have no network here. You can't just send in a resume online. Someone has to actually introduce you. Someone has to, you know, make that connection. And I was thinking, well, in China the last 5 years, I had no Facebook. I didn't even have a LinkedIn account. You know, my last social media was MySpace before I went abroad in Costa Rica. So I literally had no contact with people for 8 years in the US. So I started off at 0. So I started thinking, okay, how do I build a network here? And what I first did is I noticed personal trainers at 24-Hour Fitness seem to know everyone. So I got my personal trainer certificate, real quick test. I applied for one 24-Hour Fitness, the one on Southern Montgomery, in the heart of the financial district in San Francisco. And my whole goal there was to network, was to meet executives, top-level people at every company in the financial district. That was my only goal. And it worked out. So remember, I knew no one, absolutely no one 3.5 years ago. In a short amount of time, I got introduced to a person that was starting a company. He hired me as an account executive. He's like, hey, Shawn, you're friendly, you're good with people. Come join our team. That company, like most startups, died. But the good thing was, as the account executive, you kind of knew the sales pipeline, and you kind of saw that, okay, we got this much funded, and no one's writing a check for us, so I got 3 months. and I reached out to my contacts from 24-Hour Fitness. I knew the VP at Business Team. They're the largest brokerage of small businesses in the U.S., or not U.S., California. They have 110 brokers. They brought me on. When I was there, through the startup as well, I got to know the founder of Bay Angels, Roger King, an angel group that's been in the Valley for 20 years. And he's like, Shawn, come on board. I was like, great. So I went from no network to, in a short amount of time, connecting with this group of angel investors that have been in Silicon Valley for 20 years. And they introduced me to everyone in their group. And in that process, I was doing a deal flow agreement between all the incubators, the Chinese incubators, the brand new ones here in San Jose, Santa Clara, and this angel group. they had 20 years of deal flow. These incubators, Zhongwon-Sun, ZGC, all these, brand new, had money, supposedly, but no connections. And I was trying to help pair people off. And I came across Techcode. They asked me about my network. I was like, I sent pitch decks to 17 angel groups in California. They're like, really? And what else? I was like, oh, before that I lived in China. They're like, you wish you don't want? EDR. And they asked me for my personal email, and that night I got an email with an offer. So it was that quick. I got hired for a network that I built. And I was looking at Techcode going, okay, how can I help these guys? They had a location. In fact, at that time, I think they had 14 locations globally. And in Silicon Valley over a year and a half, but no one in Silicon Valley had ever heard of them. In fact, when I told people I was going to work at Techcode, they said, oh, Technote. It's like, no, Techcode. TechCrunch? No, Techcode, it's like one block that way. It's like, really? Oh, I've never heard of it. So we went from 2 events a month to now 4 or 5 events a week. Communicate, network with ease, meet your co-founder. These are just some of the events that we hold in our location. Our logo gets emailed on emails, about 150 to 200,000 emails a month will have our logo somewhere on it. Some of the groups we work with have email lists of 30,000, others less, others more. We work with Provisors, BNI, Band of Angels, Sandhill, all these angel groups. They all know of us now. We share a deal flow. They come to our location, use us, go to our events. In fact, we're having a big event April 6th. If you guys talk to me at the end, I'll give a couple of you guys promo codes to it, free tickets. So here's just some of our events. So when I first came there, that space in the center there was empty. Now it's full almost every night. VCs, people from the whole community of Mountain View come to us. This guy's important, remember him later. He's our mascot. We have events, so we used to have ping pong Monday nights. The problem with that occurred is these 2 Irish guys showed up one day. and they said, hey, we'd like to play ping pong with everyone here. We saw the ad, we're like, okay, play. And they played and they were beating people by just 1 point. And we were doing brackets. So at the very beginning, beat by 1 point. Then 1 more point. And then it was the semifinals. And they turned it on and won 15-1. And then the final was just those 2 guys going at it. And all of us there were looking at them going, I thought you guys haven't, wait, what? Oh yeah, it's been about 5 years, but my brother, he represented Ireland in the Olympics. So because of that, no one showed up for the next few weeks. So we stopped. But in a small amount of time, we went from no social media presence. I mean, when I joined, we weren't even on Google Maps. I had to put our location in Google Maps. That was the first task I did week 1. Now, Pinterest page, we're all over the social media. All our other incubators, we've connected with each other. We've grown this network. This is one of our companies from Israel that came to visit us. Here's a delegation from China that visits us. We normally have about 1 a month. I've met mayors, vice mayors of some of the pretty major cities. Here's our team. But with all this network, all this advertising, everything that's happened, we've solved the problem of getting our name out there. And now we're able to actually recruit high-end startups. One of the startups that we have now was founded by Gaurav. Now, Gaurav's background, it starts off very unfortunate after he graduated college. His first job, unfortunately, was here. So, luckily though, he wasn't there for too long, because I've met career engineers at Google that's their first job, and really for some reason, after they've been there 6 or 7 years, they're able to complain about salted almonds versus unsalted almonds. So, but when he joined Google, he was on the Android team. There was less than 80 people on this team when he joined. That's my version of him on the team. But before he left, there was 3,000 members. He saw how a team was grown from a few people to this system, how to hire, how to segregate. Instead of everyone in one room, okay, we'll split this group off over here, this over here, these guys will manage here, this is, this step, this step, this step. And he noticed it, and he learned the process of how to grow. And he decided, I want to go off and do my own thing. And he was looking at what was going on at Google, and he said he was able to see 2 years out, 2 years in the future, what the end consumer would see based on what they were working on. So he founded a company, 3LM, 3 Laws of Mobility. And yes, this is the highest resolution picture I could find. He was there, worked for a little, or founded that company, quickly acquired by Motorola. He had the bug though, he wanted to be an entrepreneur, he wanted to be his own boss. He then formed Defense 7. Now, this company here, I just typed the name because I couldn't find a logo. I asked him for a logo. There's no logo. There's no existence of this company anywhere. It failed. Before it failed, though, the money that the investors invested in it, he gave back to them. He was on good terms with all of them. Everyone was excited about his future products or future projects. But he was at that point where he had a problem, and he was looking for another solution. But in that time, he was talking to his buddy from college he'd known for a long time, Deepak. Now Deepak had just got his PhD in machine learning, and he was thinking about his next steps in life. He said he would be happy in academia. But the problem with that is he was also worried the stuff he was working on wouldn't get to the end consumer. He wouldn't actually see it being used by the public. And he decided to leave academia and go to the private sector. He got his first job at Honda, but he didn't want to work at a big corporation. And he was talking to his buddy Gaurav and said, hey, let's work together. Let's work together on a chatbot where it will help people track their fitness goals. We'll charge a couple dollars a month, and we'll grow this, and it'll be successful. And they said, great. But there's a problem. When you're asking people to pay for something, and there's companies out there, Amazon, Apple, they have products that they're giving away for free. This is normally what happens. So they realized they had to pivot, and they needed to do something else. And a problem that they saw was that in the future, and at that time, this was about 3 years ago, that film and video was becoming more and more important. The technology was there for people to stream it on their phones, and they figured, how is video going to impact everyone moving forward? So they formed the company Tribe.show, and they had many problems at first with latency issues and the interaction. Oh, I should tell you a little bit more what the company does. So the company allows social media influencers to actually communicate with their audience, with their tribe, with their crowd in real time. So an example is Adley Stump. She's a country singer. She puts on a show every week on their platform where her fans will tell her the next line for her song, and she'll joke with them and talk with them. And this has been going on for a while, so they had to overcome all these problems with what would the consumer want? What does the social influencer want? How do we make the platform friendly to both? This problem, that. Another person on their platform, James Lamprey, he has a cooking show where people will ask him during the show, hey, can you add more garlic to this? And he'll respond, no, you can't for this reason. It'll change the flavor, it'll do this, or I'll add a little bit more. The reason for this is here's my thinking, and he'll have full-on dialogue communication with the audience that's participating, a real interactive show. And I was talking to him about, tell me about some of the problems that you faced over these, from the first startup you started till now. He's like, well, the first company, I maxed out my credit cards buying servers. And now that's problem solved, which is Amazon Web Services. Before I had to hard code everything. I was typing code, and now I have the problem of stepping back, and I have the problem of actually going out and trying to recruit social media influencers for our platform, and how do I market them? How do I sell them to and I have to wear all these hats, and he just, it's fascinating. Now, I will go back to them, but let's pivot for a second to another engineer from our incubator, Victor. Now Victor, when I asked him for a photo for the presentation, this is what he sent me. I believe that's our mascot and a narwhal, but I'm not sure. So I asked Victor again. I was like, Victor, I need a picture. He's like, whatever. And so we just, forgot it. I got a picture from this marketer eventually, but when I interviewed him for this, I've known Victor for about a year now. And when I was talking to him, this was the first time we've ever really talked about anything other than going to the gym or diets or things like that. And he had told me about all these things he had done. And I was asking, I was like, how is that possible? We're the same age. There's no way you could have done all that. And he's like, well, I went to college when I was 11. And I was like, are you kidding? What school did you go to? Like MIT, Harvard? And he named a school I'd never heard of. A tiny little college in Texas. And I was like, wait, if you're a genius, how'd you end up at that school? He's like, oh, that was the only one I could bike to. So his day was he would bike to college, come home, and then watch Reading Rainbow. That was his routine. And so by the time I graduated high school, he was already on his PhD. He did math, physics, computer science. After graduating college, he had this problem he could never learn enough. He had an endless quest for knowledge. And his solution was he realized if he gives people coffee, they will explain anything to him. So he would just, at work, give coffee to anyone and just ask them, hey, why would you write this code? Why would you do this? Can you explain? And he said he would just do this all day long, just deliver coffee to everyone at work, at the workforce. And through that, he discovered his love for computer vision. And I was asking him, why computer vision? He's like, because you're the quarterback. You're the quarterback of the engineering team. I was like, what? He goes, think of drones, think of facial recognition, think of AI. Computer vision guy, he's the quarterback. He's making decisions. He's moving forward. I was like, okay, I'll believe you. And I was like, tell me about the job you had before your present company. He's like, well, I was at, this was the High Resolution for Homeland Security, but he was at the Department of Defense. And I asked him, I was like, why not just stay at the Department of Defense? It sounded like it'd be a great job, right? You get to use technology that the public will never, 5-10 years ahead of everyone else. And he said that was the problem because he sees himself as an artist. And he wants his work out there for the public. He doesn't want it in the vault. He doesn't want it in someone's living room where only one person can enjoy it. He wants everyone to benefit. So he went on a quest to find a problem that he could solve that would challenge him. Now remember, he graduated or went to college at 11. Every time I'm talking to this guy, every sentence is something that sounded like Confucius would say, or just some philosopher. So I wanted to write two of them down. All your mental energy goes into finding a problem for which you know you can find a solution. You are given a constant stream of possibilities and have to make it happen. And that was his train of thought while looking for his next company to work for. He said he would go on interviews and tell them, hey, this is the problem I see you guys having right now. This is the solution I think is possible, but to be honest, based on technology now, I don't think it can be done. And he said he would just sit and talk to these founders and say, hey, these are your problems, these are possible solutions. And some listened, some didn't. And one founder he met had this problem that stuck with him, that was challenging enough, but had that solution he wanted to work on. So that brings us to Siva. Siva's another person that was very difficult to get a photo. When I asked him for a photo, this is what he sent. Then I asked him for another photo, this is what he sent. He'll come back later, don't worry. So Siva, his background, he studied firmware, and his first job out of college was at Motorola. And he was there and he was happy. But then after a while, they changed his position. And he didn't like what he was working on. It just wasn't for him. So to solve this problem, he moved to Arizona, where he was on a 4-person engineer team doing smart collars for dogs. But in this time, he had his first child. And he had this problem where he wasn't sleeping. He was worried. He wanted to make sure his child was okay. So, as an engineer, he tried to make these little devices, little monitors to monitor his child, so he could sleep all right. And he tried to find a team in Arizona, but he couldn't, because in his words, it's Arizona. So he had the opportunity, or he was recruited, to work at Tesla. So he worked at Tesla on the key fob, but his hobby's hackathons. And at a hackathon, he met this guy. All right, so this is his co-founder. His background is in computer vision. UCSD alumni, you have to go UCSD. And they talked about this, and they said, could this be solved? And they believed they could, and they formed the company Cocoon Camp. Now, Cocoon Camp, what it does, it monitors breathing. It can monitor the growth of the child, the sleep positioning. It can help you with sleep training. There's all these applications to it. And this was perfect timing for Siva, because during this time, his family continued to grow. And this company now is about 3.5 years old, and they are making amazing progress. Here's a picture that was taken a couple months ago at CES. Who here has been to CES? Okay, you can imagine a booth this size can only be with a company that has potential to grow, that has the backers that believe in them. And this is quite impressive. Here's an award, CES Editor's Choice. So since then, they've redesigned their product. It's a one-way mirror now. Just out of the box, it's ready to go. Monitor the vital signs of your baby so the parents can sleep. And I was asking Siva, tell me about some of the problems you're now facing now that the company's growing. I mean, they've raised $4.1 million. They're A round. They were in 500 box retail store, and they are expanding. And he was telling me every day there's a new problem. I have to hire this person. I might have to let this one go, or this one leaves. And do I approve the marketing? Do I even have the background to know if this marketing is good or not? I have to trust this person that I hired. And he kept saying, like, when I just coded, that was it. But now, as the co-founder of this, I have to wear so many hats. So my presentation will end a little early, but hopefully by now, everyone here has kind of found that common glue, that commonality amongst everyone in the room, among engineers. And that is, the true path of an engineer is the search to solve a problem. And I have one more slide, a problem that many engineers have faced at some time in their life, and that is what to drink next. Thank you, guys.